Hi, everyone. On today's episode, we get to hear the remarkable and heartfelt story of Michela, a mother who faced infertility, autoimmune struggles, and heartbreaking loss before finding hope through surrogacy. Michela opens up about her journey from navigating IVF and miscarriages, a surrogacy journey that led to heartbreak, to the moment she matched with a surrogate who would help her realize her dream of becoming a mama. Along the way, she shares how her faith, supportive community, and the powerful bond with her surrogate helped her find peace and ultimately joy. Join us for this inspiring conversation about resilience, trust, and the beautiful connections that define a surrogacy journey. Enjoy. Me, you, and who? Who knew it would take more than two people to have a baby? In a world where infertility is no longer a taboo topic, this podcast will take you through all of the different aspects of surrogacy and egg donation through the lens of many who walk this journey in different ways. My name is Whitney Hall, and I am a two-time surrogate, now turned surrogacy coordinator for Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, the very agency I used when I chose to carry for two amazing families. With this podcast, it is our goal to help guide and support you as you learn about what it takes to grow a family in an alternative way, as well as hear inspiring and beautiful stories of how this path has changed lives forever. We can't wait for you to hear about just one more way happy families are created every day. Hi, Michela.
Hi,
I'm so
Whitney.
glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for wanting to do this and for being willing to share your story. I feel special because I got to be on the ride with you for a little bit, but it's so
Yes.
fun to get to just talk in this way about everything.
Yes. No, I'm honored to be here and share my story and really just in hopes of, helping anyone else that's struggling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's go in the time machine and just
Oh my
go
goodness.
way back.
Way back.
Way
We're going to go way back.
Let's go way back. Let's go way back.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what led you and Jeff to even have surrogacy in your realm? Like, how did this come to be?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, our story is so long. I mean, it's been 11 years to get here. And I was not, on our radar, even something we were considering or thinking about at the beginning. But so many things really led up to it, to, getting to the point to actually think about doing surrogacy. And for me, it was really just a number of things just kind of stacking up against us and just, I mean, I can obviously go into more detail, but it's just, things were just declining significantly. And I thought, gosh, I don't want to waste putting any good or anything that looks like a good embryo back into me. And so that kind of thought process started coming to my head. And that's when I really started thinking about, what if we try surrogacy?
Yeah.
But
Before
yeah,
you even got to IVF.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband, Jeff, and I met, later on in life. And I was diagnosed probably right before I met him, which is interesting, with some autoimmune infertility issues. So the doctors told me I was going to have a hard time getting pregnant and I was going to have a hard time staying pregnant. And they believed that it was all related to endometriosis, which for me was silent endometriosis. I didn't have very many symptoms of it. And so, when you get that type of diagnosis, it was really shocking, but at the same time, it's also kind of hard to believe. And you're just like, okay. So I would say a few months after I found out about what was going on with me from a fertility standpoint, that's when I actually met my husband. And, we met later in life. So we got married pretty quickly, and we started trying to have children right away, especially because we were older. I was older, and we knew that it was probably going to be harder for me to conceive. And we were pretty shocked. The first month that we tried, we got pregnant right away. So I know there's probably a lot of this you don't even know, Whitney. So it's great that we're just chatting about this for the first time. So we got pregnant the first month that we tried, and we're like, well, the doctors must be wrong. you
Absolutely.
know?
Yes.
Obviously I'm fine. And so there were so many things going on during that time. We were in the process of moving.
Oh gosh.
My husband had just sold his house. I was like commuting really far for work, and there was just like a million things going on. So here I am. I find out I'm pregnant, and I did reach out to one of my doctors, like a hematologist that I was supposed to follow up with if I did get pregnant for some meds that I needed. And, people kind of dropped the ball and didn't get back to me. And I
Mm,
was kind of like, oh, but I'm fine. So I didn't follow up. And with all the things going on, things just fell through the cracks, and I thought that I was fine. And it was New Year's Eve. I remember I went in. I was probably like 9 weeks at that point, but I had
oh
not
yeah.
been able to get in for an appointment to like see heartbeat and confirm everything. And they saw the sac and the baby and everything, but no heartbeat. And so then I had to
Oh
wait
gosh.
like 2 days because they wanted to confirm, and wait until after New Year's Day, and went back like 2 days later and it was confirmed. And that was a hard time because my body still thought I was pregnant. My pregnancy hormones were like crazy high still. They were like 100,000. My body still thought I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And the doctors let me go a few more weeks, but I still wasn't having any symptoms of, miscarriage, no bleeding, nothing.
Sure.
So I wound up having a DNC, which, looking back, hindsight's 2020, right? I probably would have just kind of waited to let my body do things on its own, but
Mm,
I went ahead and did that. And then we just got busy trying again in the middle of
yeah.
moving. We were house shopping. We bought a house. It was so many crazy things going on. And also just kind of continuing to see some specialists just based on the diagnosis I had, received prior to me even meeting my husband.
Sure.
And
If sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, no, please.
During that part, you had mentioned how like things had fallen through the cracks and
Yeah.
whatnot. So after you had the or the DNC, the
Yeah.
miscarriage, after you had that, did the OB say anything? Were they, or did your
You
doctor
know,
say anything? Or
So the specialist, yes, the OB, not so much. I mean, we
okay.
did genetic testing and everything was normal. So it was a hard pill to swallow because I think a lot of women might feel this way when they're going through infertility. I very much felt like it was my fault, like I should
Mm,
have followed up. I should have done this. I should have done that. Or there was so much going on and I was stressed out. You blame yourself for all these different things. And
yeah.
ultimately, I know that really probably wasn't the case, but
Mm-mm.
it's a very common feeling, I think, for a lot of women that go through something like this.
Yeah.
Um, but I was definitely like, okay, I'm going to be more diligent. I'm going to be more diligent. I'm going to be on top of things. And I kept continuing on seeing specialists. And it took about 5 or 6 months. And we were literally just closed on our house, had just moved in. It was like days after we moved in, I found out I was
Oh my
pregnant
gosh.
again. And so we were also at this point about to do IVF again, based on my age, based on my diagnosis. The doctors were like, we don't need to waste any time. You should do IVF. So we were getting
Okay.
ready to do IVF, and I found out I was pregnant again.
Oh my gosh.
And so, yeah, it was crazy, just with everything again going on. But I followed through. I got started on the med protocol that I was supposed to be on,
Yeah.
and sadly, that was not a normal pregnancy. Like, we found out
Hmm.
pretty shortly after I was pregnant, just with follow-up HCG not doubling and increasing but not doubling, and just ultrasounds that things didn't look good. Heart rate was
Yeah.
there, but it wasn't what it was supposed to be. And then sadly, things declined, pretty quickly. Um, with that being said, I was still kind of naive. I didn't know anything. My specialist said, we obviously are going to send the embryo away for testing, as we did to
Hmm.
DNC again per their recommendation. And so I really didn't 100% know what was going on. Now, knowing everything that I know, I would have known, like, hey, this was abnormal, right? So what ended up happening in between that time was I was, seeing so many different specialists, but one
Sure.
of them recommended that I have a laparoscopy to remove the endometriosis, which was kind of at the root of all my issues. And against my better judgment, I did go ahead and have the surgery. And I still remember my husband driving me to the hospital that morning to have the surgery. I was just like not at peace about my decision. I was like, I
Mm,
don't know if I should really do this, but I was in this panic and I was like, I have to do this. I'm getting old, like I have all these issues. We have to get this taken out so I can get pregnant. And I went ahead and had the surgery, and I never got pregnant again after that. It was,
oh
for me, it
wow.
was definitely the wrong decision. and kind of like all the symptoms the doctors had asked me if I was having from the endometriosis that I wasn't. As I mentioned, it was more of a silent endo for me because they did
Uh-huh.
find quite a bit. Um, happened after the surgery. I mean, I had the most painful periods ever. I mean, so much
Mm.
heavy bleeding, and just a lot of the symptoms that, are attributed to endometriosis. So everyone's body's different, but for me, it was really not the right decision. um Again, that was very early on in the journey, and here we are 11 years later, and I
Yeah.
never had another pregnancy after that surgery. And then sadly, we found out a few weeks after the surgery, the embryo testing came back that it was abnormal. So I question whether I would have actually gone through. In my mind, it was okay. I've now had two miscarriages. The doctors are telling me I have endo, and it's really causing all kinds of issues down there.
Sure.
And I need to have this surgery so I can stay pregnant if I get pregnant.
Yeah.
And for me, it was not, like I said, it wasn't the right decision. So that was
Mm.
kind of like the backstory of the beginning. But I did go on subsequently after that to do IVF, and
Right.
unsuccessfully.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Common thing for me was that I would ovulate before I even got to retrieval.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
that happened many times.
Mm.
Or I did a lot of IUIs. I started seeing different doctors, and that went on for a few years, and it was probably around 2017 that I
Mhm.
started thinking 2017, end of 2017, beginning of 2018, that I started thinking about surrogacy. So at this point, when we were doing IVF, my lining wasn't even cooperating anymore. The doctors would just cannot get my lining to do what it needed to do
Right.
to make an optimal home for implanting. So
Sure.
that's what really led me to think of, okay, I've got all these things working against me. If I'm pregnant, I need to be on this protocol for my autoimmune issues to not attack the pregnancy. And now I'm having issues where my lining's not even cooperating. So why am I going to waste any embryos that might look healthy, might look good,
Yeah.
to put them back into me? Let's think about surrogacy. So that's kind of when it all started.
During all of this time, so I know you already said it. Hindsight's 2020. We're looking back, but you're in the thick of it. You and Jeff are doing what you are being told is best. You're following protocols. You're exploring. You're researching. You're just doing all of these things. How did you keep going?
Yeah. So honestly, really, our whole entire journey looking back, it was just, I know I've mentioned this to you before, it's really just a journey of faith, because there's no way I would have been able to continue doing what I was doing if I was not, just in prayer and just having a really strong
Mm,
faith, which really
yeah.
grew so much during the time, during all the heartbreak and loss. Um, that's what really kept me going, because to your point, I really never stopped cycling and never stopped going through the IVF cycles or IUI cycles. I think there was 1 month Jeff and I took off for my 40th birthday, and we had never we because of all this, we never took a honeymoon. Like, we got married, bought our house, like, never took a
Yeah, you guys
honeymoon.
just like you
We were
went
just
for it.
go, go, go. And so that
Yes.
was probably like 3 years later, we,
Oh my
into
gosh.
moving, and we were like, okay, I turned 40. I was like, we need to go on a honeymoon. We need to take a break. And that was 1 month that I did. And I remember, you're so in tune with your body when you're going through things like this.
Yeah.
So that was the 1 month I wasn't on meds. I wasn't being monitored by my clinic. And we went to take this amazing honeymoon, and very delayed honeymoon in Italy. And I like knew I was ovulating on the trip. Like, I felt it. And so as soon as I
Wow.
came back, I called the clinic and I'm like, I think I ovulated. And they tested my progesterone. It was like, they were like, yeah, you definitely did. And, put me on some meds just in case. And, nothing came of it. But, even that, feeling guilty, like, oh, I wasn't home. I should be doing IVF. I should have done IVF, because we know
Mm,
my lining's not even helping. So if this is healthy embryo, or, healthy egg, it's probably not going to take. So there was just so much of that going on the whole time, but I really
yeah.
just kept going, and while working, which is, I was literally at the lab getting blood work, at the ultrasound place getting ultrasounds, several times a week, sometimes once a week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 4 times a week. And
Sure.
my clinic was a few hours away, and they would just like send everything to the clinic for monitoring, and they'd call me and tell me what to do. And, just go to work. And it just became a part of my life, a part of
Yeah.
both of our lives. So it was just like our normal.
This is just what we do. It's a
This
Monday.
is
I'm
just what
calling
we
in
do.
while going to a lab and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm taking
Yeah.
a conference call on mute while I'm while I'm
Having an
getting an
ultrasound.
ultrasound. Like, I mean, I don't know. That's just what I did, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I became very friendly with the ultrasound techs and the phlebotomists at the lab. And some
Sure.
of them were so amazing, and they were all praying for us. But as I mentioned, really for us, like our faith was growing so much during this time. Like my husband and I both grew up Catholic, and we were practicing Catholic, but kind of just going through the motions. And we started going to a non-denominational Christian church as we met our pastor. We became very close with, and his wife, through CrossFit gym we were doing at the time. And it
Yeah.
was such like this just journey of faith for us. And that really kind of started this. That was also in 2018 where we started going to this non-denominational Christian church, and our faith just really, was transformed and grew really just tremendously during the course of that time, up until where we are now.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. You mentioned that during that time you had gotten close to your pastor and his wife. Did you at all during this time, what did that support system look like for you? Were you
yeah.
talking about it? Were you keeping it kind of close? How did you
Hmm.
navigate that aspect?
So for me, I really didn't talk to many people at all about my infertility problems as things progressed. When I initially was diagnosed, I did
Yeah.
reach out to a lot of some close friends and family, and I felt very kind of disappointed with things people would say, or sometimes hurt with things people would say.
Mm.
And so for me, I felt like I really just, to protect myself and my heart and my mind, and just because
Yeah.
I was continuously going through it, I kind of just kept it really close to my chest. And there was just a few people, like close people, that I
That
spoke
knew.
to about it. I also, tried doing therapy for a long time, which for some people is very helpful. For me, it wasn't. I just found myself going there crying, the entire time I was there, and just leaving like even more emotionally drained on top of everything else that was happening. So there were a couple of people that were just very close to me that were very supportive. And then, also, like I said, just my faith. It was really
Yeah.
the main thing that carried me through.
Yeah.
And I didn't really talk to our pastor about things very much. It wasn't until we started our first surrogacy journey that I think I started really opening up with them. So yeah, so that was 2018 when I first came to Surrogate Solutions. Yeah,
Yes, that's right. That's
yeah,
right. Okay, so 2018. Well, I'll circle back to that because I'll go ahead. It's interesting that you said you were disappointed in what people were saying to you. And I
yeah.
think that that's something that is so common in when you are struggling with infertility of it's common to be disappointed in what people have to
Mhm.
say, and then on the flip side somebody doesn't necessarily know
Yeah,
what to say,
yeah,
and they end up saying things like, oh, when God closes a door he opens a window, and it's like,
yeah,
yeah, that's not helpful right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What would you say, just maybe having been in that and then choosing the route of protecting yourself and keeping things so close, um what do you wish people would have said to you?
Gosh, the best thing people could say to me were that, "Hey, I'm praying for you." Like, that was the
Mm,
best thing. I think naturally everyone wants to offer solutions when their friends or family are suffering, so it's like, oh, you need to calm down, or, oh, you need to do more of this or less of
Ugh,
this, or, of course there's always the, have you thought about adopting? And which is beautiful and wonderful. And of course
absolutely.
it was on our radar with everything we had been through, but it's just not helpful. And I think you need to kind of arrive at those places when you're ready. And
Yeah.
kind of, at least for me, I felt so much that I had such a strong desire to have a child of my own, a biological child,
Yeah.
that I felt like I needed to try everything before I moved on to whatever was next. Um, and so, really, the best thing that people said to me that, were the kind of close people that were really supporting me, was like, hey, I'm praying for you. And whatever
Sure.
that means, it doesn't necessarily mean like, I'm praying that you're going to have a child, right? Sure. Of course, that was my ultimate, wish and prayer, if that's
Yeah.
what God wanted. But it was really just that I'm praying for you for whatever it is that you need. You need some support. You need,
Mm,
um, whatever it is that you need, just let me know. And that to me was just amazing. Whenever anyone
yeah.
said that to me, it was just like, okay, I can trust this person. I can talk to this person, because it's not
Mm.
going to turn into a conversation that is potentially going to say something that's really going to be painful.
Sure. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people they see their friend in pain
Yeah.
and they want to bring a solution. And, but maybe you're having that conversation for the first time and they have no idea that you've been doing this for 2 years
Yes.
already. And
Yes.
so, like, probably the solution that they're offering is something you've already
You've
thought
already
about or
tried.
done. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Exactly. And it's also exhausting to then go into all the, hey, I've been on this journey now for so long. And, like, to your
Yeah.
point, yeah, obviously I've done that already, or I've tried that already, or, yes.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
All I need is
Thank you.
just your love and
Yeah.
support and
Yes.
that's it. That's all I
Yes.
need.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, so 2018 you have gotten to your place in your journey where you are saying my body is
Not
not
cooperating.
cooperating the way that I want it to be. And
Yeah.
so let's look at different
Yeah.
paths to parenthood. And so you found egg donor and surrogate solutions.
Yeah.
How did you find us? What did that look
Yeah.
like? Tell me.
So it's so interesting. So I talked to my doctor about it in the clinic, and they were like, hey, we actually have a nurse that left our practice that started a surrogate organization or agency. So my
Yes.
first call was to them, of course, naturally, and I spoke to them, and they were lovely, but I got off the phone and I just didn't feel like convinced that I wanted to work with them.
Uh-huh.
And for me, it was really important, given everything that we had gone through and all the issues that I was having. Like, I knew that I needed to find somebody that had the same faith as we did. And that if
Mm,
this was going to happen for us, it had to be with someone that had a strong faith also.
yeah.
And, so I remember I was just sitting in my living room, and I Googled like Christian surrogacy agencies, and this big article came up from, I believe it was Christianity Today. I don't even remember which magazine, was online, and they just interviewed your organization, and it was
Yeah.
like a very, very long, lengthy article, and I just sat there and like devoured the whole article, and I like finished reading it. It was like, I really want to call them. I really think this is an organization I want to work with. So I called and I spoke to Gail, who's like your founder. Is she still with
Yeah.
you guys anymore? I don't know if she's
She's
still.
not, she went and retired on us,
Okay, thought
but
so.
yes,
So
yes.
I called and Gail answered, and I
Yep.
spoke to her on the phone, and I was just immediately like, this is the agency I want to work with. Like, I
There's
just
something about
couldn't.
Gail, that
She was
presence. Oh my
amazing,
gosh.
like really
Yes.
amazing. And I mean, I remember where I was. I was driving. I work in sales, so I'm always in the car for work. I was
Sure.
driving at work, and I was on the phone with her, and I kind of like pulled over, and I said, gosh, I just knew, like, I knew I wanted to work with you guys. It was just felt
Yeah.
right. Um, so that's how I found you. And so that was summer of 2018. So we
Sure.
got started right away with creating our profile, and things were different then, right? Because the intended parents got to pick the surrogate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so Lauren was our match coordinator. She's
Yeah.
a gift with that. She's a great match
Oh my
coordinator.
gosh, Lauren
And
is,
yeah,
yeah, she
she
has that
just really
sixth
knows.
sense.
And so we did our profile, and Jeff and I went online and we looked through all the profiles, and I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel connected. I don't think there's anyone here that I want to work with.
There was
So
just something.
I just think we need to wait
Yeah.
and just kind of trust God and see what happens. And it was kind of shortly after we created our profile and got started. So Lauren sent us an email and she's like, I have this new surrogate that just signed up, and I think I think she's going to be great for you guys. You know, do you want to have a Zoom call and meet her? She sent us her profile and we were like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just even knew, just Lauren sent us her profile, and Jeff and I looked at each other and I was like, is this too good to be true? And so
Mm.
we had a Zoom call with her, and it was so great. It was really,
You felt at peace.
we felt at peace. We loved
Yeah.
her and her family. And, we just were like, yeah, we want to move forward. And thankfully, you know, she did as well. She felt the same way. And so we got started. That was, probably late summer 2018.
Okay.
And I know, as you know, once you get started with the process, there's the medical screening and the legal and all those things.
Sure, sure. We've got all
So,
those checkpoints
yes,
before we even get to the fun of
yeah,
meds and
all of that.
yes, exactly.
So, our first transfer was actually scheduled right around Christmas time of 2018. And I'm
Okay.
not sure if you know this either. Our transfer ended up getting canceled about a week before transfer.
Oh no, I didn't
Because,
know that.
yeah. So, our my doctor called me. It was like a week ish before Christmas, right around Christmas, and she was just like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't recommend that we move forward. Unfortunately, they found some polyps that had developed, and
Sure. Sure.
and she said, we, you know, based on the placement, I really recommend that they get removed
Yeah.
before we
Which
move
is so
forward.
common. Polyps, so common.
Totally.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
looking forward, or looking back, I mean, it was probably a blessing, because about a week after our transfer got canceled, our surrogate ended up in the hospital with she had one of her cysts burst. So had we
Oh
transfer, that
gosh.
could have happened as well with, you know, the transfer.
Yeah.
So then she went ahead and had polyps removed a few months later. So we didn't actually get to transfer day officially until it was April of 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a bit later, but again, totally fine. We
Well,
got
just
yeah,
emphasizes that whole aspect of it's a journey.
yeah,
It's truly a journey. It's not
it
something that's
really
going to
is.
happen within like a month.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So we got to transfer. We transferred 2 embryos, and then we just waited. And I was really truly in shock when I found out we were pregnant. I couldn't believe it. So this is now
Yeah.
literally like 5 years after, about 5, 6 years after we had started trying, and we were just, you know, overjoyed, and things were going great. You
Yeah.
know, blood work was great. Was
Well, it was two.
doubling.
So are we having twins? Are we just
No,
having one?
one.
Yeah.
We found out we only had
It was
one.
just one.
And ultrasounds look great. And I mean, I remember my clinic, like, you know, calling with blood work results, as they would call me then too. They as well as the surrogate, just saying like,
Yeah.
everything looks so great. It's boring. And I remember thinking, gosh, nothing's ever boring with me, but
But boring
okay, you
sounds
know,
good.
boring sounds good. So it was around the like 10 or 11 week mark. We decided to do the NIPT testing.
Uh-huh.
And I was certain that we were having a boy. I really never cared what we had. I mean, honestly, growing up, I always thought I wanted a little girl so I could do her hair and dress her up. And
Sure.
we really didn't care. We just wanted a healthy baby. But really, through prayer, I just felt strongly that the Lord was telling me we were going to have a boy. And
Yeah.
so, but I wanted confirmation. So, and I really went into the testing very naive. Like, I really didn't know what it was testing for,
Right.
other than probably Down syndrome
Kind of just those main markers, but
and
really
yeah,
we just want to know
and the
the gender.
gender.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did the test, and so we ran the blood work, and it was around the same time we ran the blood work. So my clinic was, I don't think they do this anymore, but at the time they were still monitoring HCG pretty far into the first trimester. So I
Okay.
want to
Yeah.
say we were like 11 or 12 weeks. Christina was our was our
Coordinator.
coordinator. And I think
Yeah.
we were I could be wrong, but I think we were the first couple that she worked with. I think she had just started.
That's so
If not the
funny.
first, one of the first, but I pretty sure we
Christina
were the
was my
first.
coordinator when I was a surrogate.
Ah,
So,
that's so
yes,
awesome.
I have, yes, special place in my heart. Shout out to Christina.
Yeah. So, I remember her saying like, why are they still checking, our surrogates HCG? But
Yeah.
it was right after we did the test, we were still waiting for the results because, they can take about, 10 days or so. And, our surrogate's HCG took a very significant drop. Like, so the nurses called me at the clinic and they said, it is totally normal for it to start going down at this time
Sure.
because that it starts to level out, but we've never seen a drop this significant before. And she still has plenty of HCG in her body, but we're so concerned that it was a Friday. Like, we want to send her to go get an ultrasound and just to make sure the baby's okay. And, everything's closed now. It's on Friday. So they sent her to the ER. And
Ugh.
she went into the ER and everything was fine. Baby was
Yeah.
fine. But I just remember the nurse saying, like, again, we've never seen anything like this before. So, let's see what happens when we get the test results back for the NIPT testing. And so,
of course, it happens on a Friday.
on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going the whole weekend.
Yeah. And it was also our 5-year wedding anniversary that weekend. I will never forget, as our surrogate's like, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, but we were getting ready to celebrate and just go out for a nice dinner. And here we are, like, so stressed. So anyway, it was a week later and it was, thankfully I had the week off from work. It was like around 4th of July and my doctor called to give me the test results. And I was just really floored. She let us know that the genetic testing had come back abnormal and that the baby had trisomy 18. And so Edwards syndrome, it's otherwise known as Edwards syndrome, and that it was a life-limiting diagnosis. And it was unlikely that the baby would live very long if we made it full term.
Yeah.
And I was just in shock. Of course, I start Googling, what is this? And it's,
Lord,
everything you find
Dr.
is awful. And, there was no question in our mind. And one of the reasons we were matched was because we were no term. So we were like, no matter if something comes up and something's wrong with the baby, we're not going to terminate the pregnancy.
Yeah.
But of course I was like, what are the chances it's wrong? And, are we sure? And, they told me that this test had a very high, positive,
yes, the
where
results
there's
were
not
not
likely that it was going to be wrong. But of course we still had to move forward to get confirmation. And so at that point we were referred to, maternal fetal medicine doctor where our surrogate was living, and had an ultrasound scheduled for a week later and to get confirmation. And we went in for that ultrasound. It was still not 100% clear. They did see one small marker that they thought was indicative of confirming the diagnosis. They recommended an amniocentesis, which we all declined to give us true confirmation. And they said we'd have to wait until we got to 20 weeks to get a definitive diagnosis, but that it was very likely that the test was accurate.
So during that time, I can't even begin to imagine, just shock, heartbreak, hope. So many feelings. And then you're also navigating this with your surrogate. How was that? How are you guys navigating your own feelings towards finding out about this diagnosis for your baby and then also navigating that relationship with your surrogate?
Yeah. We were so blessed to have such an amazing surrogate.
Yeah.
The relationship was wonderful. I think we were so blessed that we were on the same page because things got, could get, I should say, tricky within the relationship with the physicians that are now monitoring or taking care of the patient. The patient's a surrogate and the baby, obviously. But the fact that we were so much on the same page about everything made it kind of the best case scenario in a difficult situation to navigate. And so we were just trying to be as supportive as possible as we could for her, knowing that she was carrying this burden as she was carrying the baby. And she, in turn, was trying to be as supportive as she could for us, knowing that, we were experiencing such heartache and pain during the time. But ultimately, one of the things that our surrogate said was that despite this, she really wanted us to find some joy in
Mm,
this. And
yeah.
so, we were up until the 20-week ultrasound, we were all just like praying, like, for a miracle. And
Mhm.
also, in doing more research, I did find that there were babies with trisomy 18 that's, they usually live, or often they live for a few months or a year. And there were even some that there was a few that lived 10, 20 years. I mean, very rare depending on
Severe.
how severe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we went in for a 20-week ultrasound, and that's when we got, the anatomy scan, and we got confirmation.
Mhm.
And despite the confirmation, despite the diagnosis, the baby was doing pretty well with
Yeah.
his diagnosis. So we were hopeful that we were going to get some good time with him. And we didn't know what that looked
Mm,
like, but we were hopeful. And so once we got that real true confirmation at
sure.
20 weeks, I reached out to a couple of organizations that were supportive of families that were carrying to term with life limiting diagnoses. And so one was called Be Not Afraid, and they were,
Mm,
based out of North Carolina. We weren't like local with any of these organizations. And they were really supportive in helping us advocate for the baby at our appointments, advocate for the baby to be treated. It was a boy, by the way, so
yeah.
I didn't mention that. Advocate for him to be treated as any other normal baby at the hospital, and helped us develop a birth plan. We had access to, they had some emergency pediatric physicians on their board that we had access to speak to every time we had appointments, to get advice
Sure.
about how to proceed. It's obviously we had a lot of appointments.
Yeah.
Um, and we weren't able to attend all of them just with the distance. But our surrogate was amazing. I mean, she obviously
Mm,
keeping us updated, and just as well as the doctors, they were great about communicating with us after every appointment. So, um, and we really just wanted to give the baby the best chance at life, at living as
yeah.
long as he possibly could. So that was our goal. And
Yeah.
our doctor's goal, their goal was a little different. Their goal was for us to get to meet him alive.
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of conflict in that. So, in that,
Mm,
they really wanted us to deliver around 36 weeks, and we pushed to get to 37 because we really wanted the baby's lungs to potentially be fully developed. I mean, we know that with babies with this diagnosis, they're not, um, they're smaller in weight and size than other
sure.
babies, but we were really pushing for that.
Mhm.
And so then we also, the organization, that the Be Not Afraid organization, also connected us with an incredible bereavement doula that was in the
Mm,
area where our surrogate was living. I have to give a shout out to them. So our baby was born in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh bereavement doulas. Heather Bradley is a woman that is the doula that founded the organization. Just
yeah.
incredible. She was so supportive to us. So we met her probably sometime after the 20-week ultrasound. She invited us into our home, and we were there for
Mm.
appointments, would, cook us dinner, and
Oh, wow.
offered for us to even stay in her homes. We were traveling from so far away, but she was also a photographer. And so she was with us at the hospital, which I'll get to, for the delivery,
Yeah.
and was just an incredible support to the three of us
Well,
during that
again,
time.
that going back to, I mean, I think it's so commendable that you and Jeff researched and looked to have and find those who could support you
Yeah.
in something so heartbreaking and life
Yeah.
changing, and be able to celebrate
Yes.
and find that joy, but also have the support in knowing, this isn't what we thought it would be.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we so with all the appointments, we started having weekly and then twice weekly NST
Right.
testing. And so it was at our again, the doctors wanted us to deliver at 36 weeks, but at the 36-week appointment, baby was doing well. Again, he was
Yeah.
just the doctor was very happy with how well he was doing, our MFM. So
Mm.
we just kept continuing. And we said we want to get to 37 weeks. So it was at our second appointment during that 36-week period,
Sure.
where the NST test was, the doctor got concerned. She saw some dips on the NST that she was not happy about. And again, this was a Friday.
Of course it was.
And it was Friday. Yeah. Um, and I actually think it was Friday the 13th, which is just crazy. It's a Friday. And, but they said they were like, it's time, we have to deliver, but we want to deliver on Monday because we'll have a full staff at the hospital
Okay.
and we want to make sure, the A team is here. So we were like, okay. So we got ready. We traveled to Pittsburgh over the weekend. They told our surrogate, if anything feels off over the weekend, just come in,
Right.
and we were all on the same page, and we were scheduled for the first thing Monday morning.
Yeah.
And we went in on Monday morning, and I'll just never forget, because it was very early. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and Jeff and I got to the hospital, and they put us in this room, and there was nobody in the room, and we were like, "Where are the doctors? Where's our surrogate? Like, what's going on?" And shortly after we got in, they put us places in the room. The doctor came in, and I knew something was wrong, and he just looked at us and said, your surrogate is here. She arrived a little bit earlier than you guys did, and we hooked her up to the monitor, and there's no heartbeat. The baby had passed over the weekend. So that was really a very hard pill to swallow, especially for my husband. For me, while it was so heartbreaking, I had come to kind of, I don't even say expect, but I had had so much bad news delivered to me over such a long period of time that it was not as shocking and piercing to my heart as it maybe would have been had I not had so much devastating news delivered. It was almost like, okay, this is happening. This is
I've
happening.
had bad news before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're almost
And
desensitized to it.
yes.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, so our bereavement doula, Heather, arrived at the hospital, and she was so great. She had so many things set up. She had these little Christmas ornaments that said joy on them that she had set up, and it was around the holidays. And she had outfits for us to dress the baby in. And she took the most incredible professional photos for us at the hospital. I mean, it was just incredible. And she was just there navigating everything with us the whole time. So obviously our surrogate now, she still had to,
Deliver.
labor
Yeah.
and deliver the baby, which took about almost 24 hours. The baby didn't arrive until the next morning, middle of the night, early morning. And we got to hold him, and like I said, we got to take pictures with him and do all these things. And the other thing that we chose to do was we chose to bring him home. And so leaving the hospital with a deceased baby is not an easy thing to do. And again, probably would not have happened had we not had Heather with us, because she was able to navigate all of those things at the hospital, so that we were able to literally walk out of the hospital with our baby in our arms and bring him home.
Wow.
So yes, we named the baby Joseph, and we drove home, and it was a terrible snowstorm. We drove home,
Of course.
several hours and got him home. And it was really important for us to have him in our house and have our family meet him. We had our parents and our siblings come over and just hold him and meet him. And he was in our house for a few days before we had a very small, intimate service with our family and our pastor, and put him to rest. So
how, not only are you navigating, you're holding your child.
Yeah.
Your surrogate had to deliver this child, and you're filled with, Jeff's having his emotions, you're navigating yours. Now you're navigating your surrogate and her family. I mean, how are you taking all that in?
It was so hard.
Yeah.
So I know there's a verse in the Bible from Philippians 4:7 that just talks about peace that surpasses understanding, and I mean we really truly had that.
Mm,
We felt really just God's presence and just a lot of peace through the heartache, and I think that she did as well.
yeah.
And 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 it was just like in order for me and I think my husband as well to have closure, we wanted to have that time with him in our home. We
Yeah.
wanted to have that time with him with our family, holding him. And I mean, I know it's difficult to think of the fact that you have a deceased baby in your home, or you're driving a long distance with a deceased baby and then keeping them in your home for a few days before burying them. But for us, it really brought a lot of peace and
Mm-hmm.
closure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was incredibly hard when we left the cemetery to leave him there and to
Yeah.
think about the fact that he was there and we were going home without him. But we really just had this peace, like a real true peace that I cannot explain other than anything that it was
Mm,
God.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, to be a part of that club, there's no one wants to be a part of it, and
Mm.
there's no wrong way to navigate it. You
Yeah.
find your peace
Yeah.
however that may be.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful that you and Jeff had Heather and,
Yeah.
at the hospital to help you navigate that and
Yeah.
everything. Um, so that you
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
find that peace amongst something that's
Yeah.
so heartbreaking.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was not the end of
That was
your
not the
journey
end.
to parenthood.
But
That
there
was
was a
not the
large
end.
pause
There
in
was
between, I will say
we
that.
took a pause.
We
We
took a
took
pause.
a
Yeah.
pause. And
So,
not just a month. We took a
no,
pause.
we took a pause. Jeff wanted to start trying right away. And I said to him, like, no, I can't. Like,
Yeah.
I say, I need a year to heal. And I'm just not ready. And so this was now 2020. And, it
There's a whole lot
already
happening at
there's
that
a whole lot happening.
point.
And so, like just a few short months after, 2 months after, 2.5 months after, the whole world shut down from COVID.
Yeah.
And I had about a month off from work. And of course, no one knows you're pregnant if you're not, if you're having a surrogate. And I didn't share with anyone. I mean, we actually didn't even tell our families that we were doing this. We ended up telling our parents, to go back to your question about earlier about, did I get support from our pastor? We told them when we got the diagnosis, around the blood test and the ultrasound, and we
Sure.
were pretty sure that, but not 100% sure. We told them, and we told our parents and told our pastor and like
Yeah.
maybe one or two other friends, and that was it. And we didn't tell our siblings until about a month before the baby was delivered. They didn't know
Wow.
that we were doing this. And it was really, again, to protect us from having to answer questions, and a lot of other things. We just felt like it was just best for us, just to protect our hearts and everything we were going through emotionally.
Yeah.
So when COVID hit, as awful as a time as that was, I found myself really thankful to have this solitude, because I got to be home instead of working from home and kind of like healing
Sure.
on my own. Before I had to, I went out for a short period of time where I was working before everything closed down, but then, found myself kind of appreciating the quiet of being
Yeah.
home.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's so interesting. I think one of the things that you always hear people say as you navigate grief is the world doesn't stop.
No.
My world has stopped, but the world
Mm,
doesn't stop.
yeah.
And it was, I mean, for you, the world did stop,
Yes,
which
it
was
did.
kind of nice.
It was nice. I mean, again, as awful as that whole time period was for so many people, for me,
Yeah.
the stopping, the quiet, the stillness, the slowing down of things was really um, amazing.
Yeah.
So, what I needed. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say amazing. It was what I needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, but I will say during this time, even though we didn't move forward with trying again, I was still go cycling and going to the clinic and going to labs and and all of that. So that was continuing, but I wasn't ready to actually try doing
Sure.
another journey or try anything like that again.
Sure.
Um, And I wasn't sure if I was going to be ready, but I just felt like I didn't want to stop trying with IVF and
Yeah.
freezing embryos. So we kept doing that. And so it was probably, gosh, it was like, so that was 2020. And it was not until it was almost like 2 years later, I want to say, it was
Yeah.
the 2022. Yeah, it was the fall of 2022 that I looked at my husband and I looked at Jeff and I said, I think I'm ready to try again. I think I want to call the agency and I want to call the clinic and talk to them about the embryos that we have. And I think I want to try again.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to you guys and I spoke to Gail again.
Yes.
She's still there. And she told me that things had changed, since the last time we were there, that now the surrogates were picking the parents.
Hmm.
And so it was a different process, And I also reached out for some spiritual guidance at the time. I reached out to another pastor that I was friendly with and just had a really long conversation with them. Like, I think I want to try again, but I'm just trying to discern if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because
Sure.
I really don't know at this point. Um, and also for me at that time, it just started an even deeper walk in my faith. I mean, again, my husband and I were so active in our church at this point, but I just really started pressing into prayer and just like seeking the Lord like I never had before. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this. Like, I needed some discernment and just some wisdom. And obviously no better place to get that. Um, so it was around this time that we, again, Lauren was our match coordinator.
Yep.
And I know she sent us one surrogate that had picked us, and I looked at her profile. I didn't feel good about. She was lovely, but I was like, I don't think this is our
Sure.
person.
Yeah.
And my clinic ended up passing on her from through medical reasons. And then I think there was another surrogate that had wanted to work with us, and Lauren didn't even send me her profile because also she didn't get cleared from the clinic. So then it was probably like 2 months after I had contacted Gail, that Lauren reached out to us and she said, I have a surrogate that wants to meet you guys. And
Hmm.
she just finished a journey with another family. And she's, at the time she was donating breast milk. She's like, she's not going to be able to start right away. She just finished a surrogacy journey within her family and she's donating breast milk. And so, but she wants to meet you. And we were like, okay.
Yeah.
And we saw her profile. And again, like, we had a Zoom meeting and we got off the Zoom meeting and literally Jeff and I went into this and we said, we have to be okay with the fact that we're probably not going to get somebody that's as great as our last surrogate. And that's okay. So we kind of went into it with that, open-minded. But we just were so blessed because
Mm.
we got matched with Kieran and her husband
Yeah.
Jeff, and it was another beautiful match. And we got off that Zoom meeting like, how did we get so blessed again to get matched with such a great couple? And this is
Yeah.
definitely a God thing, Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Lauren again, knocking it out of the
Lauren
park.
again, she's like the matchmaker. I mean,
She
she's really
is.
amazing. So, and we had to wait after that, call and they took some time to think about it as well, if they wanted to work with us. And we
Yeah.
were really blessed that they decided to move forward. So as I said, with Kieran donating breast milk, that was a little bit of a delay as well. So that was around December of 2022. And so we didn't actually get to our first transfer until June of 2023.
Sure. Yeah. Gotta
Yeah.
wait. And then you have
Yeah.
all the stuff in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
And
June or
yeah,
July. Actually, I think it was July. I'm wrong. I think it was
it
July.
was July. It was
So
July.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So we got to transfer, and I had, like I said, I'd spoken to the clinic, and I was like stressed over, okay, we had a few embryos left. Which embryo do we choose? And I
Sure.
had it in my mind which one I wanted to use, the one that looked the best, which was also the oldest, but they recommended against it and said we should use a younger embryo to give you better chances. So I did, and we transferred one,
Yep.
and we got pregnant, and we were again just like, oh my goodness, I I can't believe we're pregnant. But again, after
Yes.
everything we had been through, I'm always so cautiously optimistic, like one step at a
Mm-hmm.
time. You know this. I'm just like one appointment at a time, one
Just one.
step at a
Yep.
time.
Yep. We're going to take it one day.
And
Yes, absolutely.
unfortunately, that pregnancy did not go well. HCG wasn't doubling, and the ultrasound's heart rate wasn't great, and ultimately ended up not being a heartbeat. And we did find out that it was, genetically abnormal pregnancy. So that was a really hard blow for me.
Mm,
I really was questioning again, like, is this what God, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this the road that you have me on? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Um, and I was really struggling.
yeah.
And why is this happening again? Why is
Yeah.
this, what, so much heartache. But once we got through that, fortunately, Kieran was on board again with trying, again, we had a few more embryos left. And
Yeah.
um, we had our second transfer around Thanksgiving of last year. And again, I spent a lot of time just in prayer and really just like, against the doctor, embryologist judgment. I said, I really want to go with our best looking embryo, which is our oldest embryo. And she said, well, based on your age, you really have a 5% chance of this implanting. But I said, okay, I decided, again in prayer, we decided to move forward with that. And we also used our youngest one. So
Yes, it was a
again, the
double
oldest one, we did
embryo
too.
transfer.
Yeah.
Yes, we did
But
too.
our oldest one was the nicest looking one. And the youngest one was okay. It was fine, but not the best. So we got to transfer day, and they didn't let me into the room for transfer. It was just the doctor that was doing transfer that day wanted to just have Kieran in the room. But Kieran came out of transfer, and she said, embryologist came out to let us know that your younger embryo, when they thought it had lost a cell, it also grew a cell, but it lost a cell. And she said, it wasn't the worst thing, but it wasn't the best thing.
Uh-huh.
But she said, but the older one, she said, it looked especially nice. And I just felt like it was,
Mm,
kind of like a God wink, God letting us know, like,
especially
this is the
nice.
this is the one,
Yeah.
the one that you felt very much in prayer was the one to use. This was the one. So yeah, a few weeks later, we found out we were pregnant. And again, I mean, really in shock and just so happy, but also so cautiously
Of
optimistic and
course.
just, let's see what happens. And
Yeah.
we were just so incredibly blessed to have an uneventful pregnancy, which had never happened in
Yes.
now 11 years for us, with my oldest embryo, which was, by the way, taken out of me a year after our sweet little Joseph passed,
Mm.
almost exactly to the date of his original due date. It was like a day after his original
Oh.
due date. Um, and yeah, it was, again, we didn't tell our family. Nobody knew we were trying again. And I think we didn't end up telling them until after we had our echocardiogram at 23 weeks. We told our parents. And
Yeah.
I mean, they were just in shock. They couldn't believe it. I actually recorded my mom and sent the video to Karen. I was like, you don't understand. Our families are going to freak out,
Right.
and they're going to be over the moon. I want you to see like this amazing thing that you're doing for us, and like kind of like their
Mm.
reaction. And then we told our siblings on Mother's Day. And it was also a huge surprise to everybody. And we were like 26 weeks then. And they were just, everyone that we told was just like in tears. Um,
Yes. And so okay, it was 23 weeks. Okay, we've made it to an
yeah.
echocardiogram. It was 26. We've gotten past an anatomy scan.
I
That
mean, I
has
was
its
in tears at
own.
the anatomy scan. I was like,
Yes.
I literally think I hugged the technician, and the doctor reading the report. It was like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, like everything looks great, and I was like, what? And we're having a boy.
And we're having a boy.
And boy, yes. Which
Yes.
again, we very much again felt that just in prayer, that was just like the Lord was saying, you're going to have a boy. And we again didn't care. We just wanted a healthy baby. So
Yes. Did you even know what to do with how boring everything was? And I
no,
use that with like the most loving way
no,
of just boring was beautiful, but you're so
yes,
used to chaos. I mean,
yes,
for lack of a
no,
better word, we're so
no,
used to the other shoe dropping all over the place.
yes. No, I mean, during this time again, I was just staying in prayer and so close to the Lord
Yeah.
Lord as possible. I just prayer, prayer, prayer. And then, we slowly started opening up to some friends around the time that we told our family.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I told you this, but I actually let my mom throw me a baby shower. And what was supposed to be a small baby shower was like 60 people. It was
Stop it.
crazy.
No, you didn't tell me
I
that. Oh
did.
my
That was a big
gosh.
deal for me. I mean,
That
even
is a
I
big
think Kieran was
deal.
like, "Are you gonna have a baby or let your mom or let your family throw you a baby shower?" And I remember, I think her asking me that. I'm like, "Yeah, that was a big deal for us."
Yes.
But we were like, "I think we're gonna need some things, so I guess we'll
I
we'll let.
I
Oh
think we're
yes,
gonna
we'll
need
do
some
this."
things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was lovely. Everyone was just so, I mean, people were just so happy for us. And everyone was just, we had so many people praying for us and our whole
Yeah.
church family. We were part of a small little church community. It was just really a blessing and just, it was really special.
When you started telling everybody, did you go from cautiously optimistic to this is happening? Or were you
A little
still
bit of both, but
okay?
it actually made me anxious as I was telling people, if to be honest.
Sure.
But again, I was like, okay, just keep pressing into prayer. You just have to keep trusting God and believing in,
Yeah.
this is a healthy baby. And back up even before the anatomy scan when we did the NIPT testing, because none of my embryos had genetic testing. So it
Right.
was really, and when those test results came back negative, I mean, that was like another, just tears of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we got to delivery day,
And
which
then we get
was,
to delivery
I
day.
know. So Kieran did not want to be induced. And so we traveled to her about around 39 weeks and we were just parked
Hanging out.
ourselves in her area and got to know the area. And we're waiting. And it was fine. It was the summer. The weather was beautiful. So we spent a lot of time outdoors. And so
Yes.
even though she had another surrogacy journey in her own children, she had told us like, I'm always tend to go late, so I'm probably going to go late, but we didn't want to miss it, so we waited. We went down around
Absolutely.
39 weeks to wait, and that was a really special time though. We got to spend some time with her and her family. Like we
Yeah.
went to church together, we had dinner with them at their home, and it was just a really special time. And it also gave Jeff and I a little bit of downtime because it was just so crazy leading up to all this, and with working, we're just so busy, and it was like almost a mini little vacation, little quiet time before baby
Yeah.
arrived.
Well, it goes with that theme of your life just didn't
Yeah,
stop. It
it
just
didn't.
didn't.
It didn't. So, yeah, it was great. But so she, we were kind of hanging out at the hotel and we got a call from her on Saturday night. She's like, my water broke. It was so funny. So
Just
we're
by
like,
the way.
okay, just by the way, my water. So we're like, okay, we need
What
to
do we
get
do?
dressed to go to the hospital.
Is
What do
it
we
the
do? And
movies?
she's
Like,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah. She's like, I'm gonna take a shower and have a snack and take a nap. I'll let you know when it's time to go to the hospital. We were like, okay, of
This
course.
is
She's like,
not the
this
movies.
is not, no, she's like, I'm not having any contractions yet. So we're good. So, yeah, it was like the next morning, she still wasn't having contractions or they were still very far apart.
Sure,
And
sure.
so, we did end up going to the hospital, around 9:30 the next morning, and they did admit us just because her water broke, but there was nothing happening.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit to get things going. And it was really, though, again, a beautiful time. And she had given us some lovely gifts. And one of the things
Mm,
she gave us was a little baby book. And so while she was laboring and doing all the heavy lifting, we were just sitting, I was just kind of filling out the baby book. And
yeah.
it was also really just amazing to watch her husband, Jeff, coaching her, their amazing
Yeah.
team. She, by choice wanted no drugs. I mean,
Uh-huh.
she was just incredible. Um, and that was just a really amazing time. And just to
Yeah.
watch that, and things did get a little bit scary at the end, again, since her water broke the, evening before, and, contractions just weren't like really kicking in. Baby had gotten kind of like tangled up in his cord. And
Yeah.
so, um, it was a little bit scary at the end, but the doctors and the staff were just incredible, and they got him out safely. And Kieran was like, just do whatever you have to do to get him out safely. But she delivered him and they got him out safely. And and it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's here,
Yes.
And yeah.
How is that you're seeing all this happen? What was that first do you even remember a first feeling, or were
Yes.
you just it was just surreal?
It was just so surreal. I mean, like, I just can't believe this is happening. And like,
Yeah.
we did delayed cord clamping, and we also did blood banking, cord tissue blanking. So,
Yeah.
he came out and he was on Kieran when he first came out, and we put she grabbed our hands and put our hands on him so we could, have some skin
Oh.
to skin while we were doing that. And then, then we got to hold him and little baby Noah. And
Yes.
and so we had already had his name picked out, ahead of time, but it was just a great, we had, ironically, at home, some like crazy epic rainstorm the
Of
day he was
course.
born, like ridiculous. Like it was just crazy. So
True
that
to
was
his
really fun.
name.
True to his name. So, yeah, so it was incredible. And, yeah, it was just, my feeling was like he's here, and it's amazement of the whole process from start to finish.
Yeah.
And then I also was really surprised that I had also felt like kind of this almost sadness, like this journey with with Kieran, is this part of the journey is over.
Yeah.
And that was unexpected for me. I was emotional at the hospital when she left and her family left. Her children came and
Yeah.
got to spend some time with the baby and hold the baby at the hospital, and she did too. And that was so special to me and so important for her, but also really important for me, because they
Mm.
were also invested, her husband and her children, in the journey and in the baby, and loving on him so much while she was pregnant. And I really wanted them to get some time with him.
Yeah.
And I was really sad when they left, and we stayed at the hospital an extra day. um and she left the day prior, and I was just like, oh my goodness, it's this part of the journey's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it just shows what an investment in that relationship is and how
Yeah.
special it is.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it is so beautiful. It's,
Yeah.
they're forever part of Noah's story.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah.
And we got, when we did finally leave the hospital, we spent a night in the hotel, and we had, quite a long trip home as well. So, we did get to visit with them in the morning as well before we left,
Mm,
and had some time with them at their home before we left. And that was really special. And those are just, memories that I'm going to cherish forever. And our journey
absolutely.
continues, because we are, fortunate to be getting breast milk from her, which we're so thankful to be able to give our baby some
Yes.
healthy breast milk right now. And yeah, so it continues.
Yes, it's just a different type of
It's a
journey.
different
Absolutely.
type. Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
forever connected.
Yes. 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 And we feel just so blessed. So
Yeah. What would you say okay, so how did you feel you made your journey and you walked home, you got home, and very different than the last
yes.
time you came home with a baby.
Yes.
How was that?
I mean, it was just so incredible. I think, like, Jeff and I looked at each other and we're like, we can't believe there's a baby here. I mean, for so
Yeah.
many years, our house has been so quiet, and we like dreamed of this, and we just didn't know if it was actually going to happen for us. And it
Yeah.
was just like, just so thankful and
Mm.
full of gratitude to the Lord for this blessing that we know was from Him, and that there was really just no other way. And again, there was another Bible verse that just really felt so fitting to me and came to mind. And it was from Ecclesiastes 3:1, where it just says, like, there's an appointed time for everything, and there's a time for every event under heaven. And God's timing is always perfect, and He's
Yeah.
never late, and He's always on time. And despite all the heartache and loss, I really, and despite the fact that I'd love to have like more children, like I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, this is what His plan was for me, and we just feel
Mm.
so blessed to have this one baby, and this one healthy baby.
Yeah.
And just know that this was just our story and what His plan was for us, and really want to pay it forward and help anyone else that's struggling. I think my message really is to, you know, really just press into prayer and trust your instincts, and, to God is the God of the impossible, and he surely did the impossible for us, as this was really
Mm,
truly only possible with him.
absolutely. With you said you wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
What would you say to day one, Michaela?
Oh my goodness. I mean,
No.
I wish I could tell day one Michaela too. I was in such a panic and such a clock is ticking. Um, I'm like probably the oldest mom on the planet here now,
Stop. No, you're not.
Um, but I don't care. I mean, I'm just so happy it finally happened. But I would say to just really, I really was not trusting what I knew. Like, I mean,
Mm,
even going back to having the surgery that I knew not to have, it was always just in this panic that the clock was ticking and I had to hurry. And just, I would tell myself to just
mm,
slow down and just really, press into prayer and really just trust God and trust the process, which I wasn't. I was
yeah.
too panicked and I was too, yeah, that was
Yeah.
really it.
From I know faith was huge for
Yeah.
your journey. Is there any other advice that you would want to give, or anything that just from your experience that you would want to say to either intended parents that are on this journey, thinking about this journey, or even surrogates who
Yeah.
are wanting to help a family in this way?
I would say if you have any hesitation for moving forward with surrogacy, if you've arrived at that place and you're
Yeah.
thinking about it, it's such a beautiful, beautiful
Mm,
experience.
yes.
I mean, there are so many people that even when we did finally start opening up and that we told we were doing this, it would say things like, are you afraid that the person's not going to give you your baby back at the end, or like some ridiculous thing? Like,
Sure.
I know no, I'm
No.
not. I'm not even for a second. I'm not. Um, if you're thinking about it, it just you will know once you start the process. If you're matched when you're matched with someone, you will know whether or not it's the right person to move forward with. You will have peace about your decision, and
Yeah.
it's really just such a beautiful, beautiful gift that if you're a surrogate, that you're thinking about surrogacy, that you can give to somebody. It's not easy. It's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of work, as you know, Whitney, you've done it. But it's such a beautiful, beautiful gift that you can give to another family. And for an intended parent, it's such a beautiful experience to go through with somebody else. I am so thankful, and I am so open about, in the short time we've had our sweet little baby, with telling people how he came to us,
Yeah.
because I would love to encourage anyone that's considering either intended parents or surrogate to do this and potentially inspire other people to help other families.
Yes. Well, I mean, his story is beautiful. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what a wanted
Yeah.
little boy. I mean,
Yes.
and loved
Yes.
for
And what
so
a
long.
miracle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, my last question to you, and you're a mama of a 2-month old, so I am sure that coffee is a regular
Oh yeah.
part.
I love coffee.
Yes, absolutely. And for anyone who knows me, they know that I am incredibly codependent, me and my little friend over here.
I
And
understand.
uh-huh. So I always like to ask, what filled your cup? Literally or figuratively, what was the thing that filled your cup this morning?
Oh my gosh, this morning, just getting to, wake this little baby, well, this little baby woke up, no, woke up, and just getting him out of bed this morning. It was
Yeah.
like just going in and, loving on him this morning and getting him out of his little
Mm. And he
jammies and
still has his
changed for
little
the
legs up.
day.
And
Yes, his little
yes.
froggy legs, and just, our this baby has a full head of hair,
Oh
just
gosh, it's
brushing his
beautiful.
hair, and just, everyone's amazed at how much hair he has. Yes, actually this morning we had a diaper blowout and I was like, okay,
Let's do it. Here we go.
sheets, everything. That's how we woke up this morning. But that filled my cup and it was lovely. I continue to
Yes.
be amazed by how much poop comes out of such small little humans. I must say, I was not expecting that. So, It's
Oh my
amazing.
gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
So
What a silly blessing to get
it really
to
is.
love
It
on.
really
Yes,
is.
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, I mean, personally, I got to go on this journey and be a small part
Yes.
of it with
Yes.
you. And so I'm just so grateful that you are wanting to pay it forward
Yeah.
and find I'm so glad you found the joy.
Yes.
And I'm so glad
Yes.
that we are at this point, and I'm so grateful to you that you were wanting to share
Yeah.
just everything
Hmm.
from that journey beginning to end. And
Yeah.
it warms my heart, and those pictures are
Mm.
amazing, and that sweet little boy,
Mm.
it just makes
Thank
me
you.
so thrilled and happy. And I mean, gosh, Kieran is just, you guys were just the perfect
Yeah, she's a
match.
rock star.
Oh,
We
such a
were
rock
so
star.
blessed. I mean, really,
Yes.
just an amazing, amazing surrogate.
Well, and I think
Really.
it's beautiful. You said you had gotten profiles, whether it was back in 2018 or
Mm.
2022, and you waited, and
Yeah.
that wait was
Yeah.
so right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Hmm.
gosh. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you, Michaela
Thank
and
you,
Jeff, and
Brittany.
give hugs to baby Noah for me.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much. Thank you for really everything. You guys have been such an amazing agency to work with. And
Mm.
I mean, I would just highly recommend that anyone move forward with you if they're thinking about finding an agency to
Oh,
work with. You guys were incredible. And,
thank
I
you.
just thank you so much for all your support.
Thank you.
And thank you to Gail.
Yes, shouts to Gail. Oh
Shout
gosh.
out to
Yeah.
Gail. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Me, You, and Who. We appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed our discussion today. As we wrap, we would like to remind you of some of the ways that you can stay connected with us and be part of the Me, You, and Who podcast community. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode and can stay up to date with our latest content. But that's not all. We also have an exciting YouTube channel where we share some bonus content, behind the scenes glimpses, and video versions of our episodes. Head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button there as well. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the new episodes go live. And for more exclusive updates, engaging discussions, and a chance to connect with fellow listeners. Be sure to follow us on our social media accounts. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Create a Happy Family. If you're interested in finding out more about creating a happy family, please visit us at www.createahappyfamily.com. Thank you again for being part of the Me, You, and Who community. Your support means the world to us. I can't wait for you to join us next time as we continue to share stories and journeys of creating happy families.